Wow, good Tuesday mooning, mooning, happy mooning. Good morning, everybody. Um, and it's Tuesday, and the mornings are actually getting nippy. It's nippy. And my usual location for doing the video was occupied with workers, so I'm sneaking in the backyard to do this video this morning. We're reading through Ezra chapters 1, 2, and 3. And there's a thing that usually stands out for most of us, where the laying of the foundation of the temple, and we get this mixture of cheering and crying that went up. It just made this noise as the two are mixed together. And those who were crying were uh, the older people who remembered the original temple. But something I want you to keep in mind is the original temple. Um, David had set aside a small fortune for it, and Solomon added to that, and then the leading families added to that. The nation was huge. Millions of people occupied the land, and it was a well-to-do nation that was about to become even more well-to-do under Solomon. So they had great wealth to pour into the original temple, and what they built was beautiful. It was magnificent, um, and and it was not something that God asked them to do. This was a desire of David's heart. David wanted to do this. This was an offering of love that he wanted to. He did not want the Lord to be relegated to a tent when he was living in a palace, when David was living in a palace. So he wanted to honor God, and for that reason, the Lord accepted that offering from him. Um, and that brings us to Ezra with the laying down of the foundation. And this is a country that is decimated. It is nothing but dust now. Only the poorest of the poor live there, and 42,000 people just showed up. And they didn't have any great wealth. They brought stuff with them, but it was nothing compared to what Israel used to have. And so they set about building this temple. And there's no way that they could even come close to the original temple. They just didn't have the resources for that. But what they poured into it was everything that they had. David gave a portion of what he had. Solomon gave a portion of what he had. The leading families gave a portion of what they had. But these 42,000 came and gave everything that they had, which reminds us of the widow at the temple with Jesus, when she gave her all. She gave her last two coins, 2 pennies, and the Lord made that an immortal act by pointing it out to us and lifting it up. So it's not the size that matters. It's the heart behind it that matters. If you have $1 million and you seed 1,000 of that, it's good, but it's not over the top. If you have $1 million and you seed 900,000, it is a greater seed that you have given. At the same time, and saying this, some of us can relate to this, having gone through seasons where we had more to seed than what we had at other times. And there's still the principle in play that you plant the seed, but you eat your bread. You can't turn around and seed what the Lord has given to you for you to eat. You can't plant bread. It's not going to produce anything. There's a portion that the Lord has given to you that you are supposed to use as seed. You're not supposed to eat that. That is for producing more. But the bread is not. So we've got to get our mind around this, that just because you have less seed to give in this season that you're going through, because sometimes he brings us through these deserts so we can get back to being more fully dependent on him, and then he brings us into the land of plenty, uh, trusting us to seed. So we've got to understand these seasons, and we should celebrate both. We shouldn't cry when we give everything that we have. That's not something to mourn. That's something to celebrate. And I hope you can receive this. I hope you can understand this. The temple may have been a smaller thing, but in their heart it was a greater thing. You may have had seasons where you gave away thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars, but you're in a season now where you can only give tens of dollars. Maybe you can't even give hundreds. You're going to come out of that season. This is not a forever season. You're going to come out of this season, but you give everything that you have to give. You give with a joyful heart. You give with gladness. You give what you have to give, but don't give your bread, because he's not pleased with that. So you have a blessed and wonderful day. Let's celebrate all these wonderful things that the Lord does for us. And yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's testimonies and celebration. But today, let's serve today. Let's live that testimony today. God bless.